and welcome to another episode of Schiffbauer Over Rocks. Today I have another videographer. Actually, you're the first videographer.
Competition from VR.
Oh yeah, Marty's been taking notes, been mean mugging us since pre-production.
Right.
Nell Tice, owner and founder of enTICEing Media. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, so I know I was a guest of your show a little while back.
Yes, you were.
And that was really cool. I actually filmed it up here virtually. We might have to drop a little video or link in here on the post, Marty.
If you are going to utilize social media platforms, you need to be utilizing video. And I think you would agree.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Or beat me to it.
Absolutely.
And it's people that get a little scared. There's a time and place to professionally invest in video. But if you're starting off, if you got a phone
Exactly.
with a decent camera, start taking videos of what you do. But I'm like, why don't we just do it? Because it was like a cool conversation. I'm like, there's more we can talk about. Because we got into it, nerded out on like content and video. It's interesting. Like, how the hell did you get into video? Because you told me off camera, you didn't think you would be in video.
No. So video for me has always been something that I've really been into. So first of all, I'll preface this with, I wanted to be in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. Okay. That was always like the goal. I decided I wanted to be on the Weather Channel at 8 years old. And yeah.
Oh, so this is deeply rooted.
Deep roots. Okay. So, at the time, like there was no YouTube in 1990, whatever. Mm-hmm. So, I had to work for it. I had to go to college and do all the things that you're supposed to do, get the education to be in front of a camera, whether that's Weather Channel, local news, anything, right? So I went to college, did all of that for like 2 semesters, mm-hmm. and decided that school was no longer for me.
Not your thing, not your bag.
So gave that up, went and did the whole job thing, and eventually found myself so unhappy in my career. I was the chief operations officer of a coffee and tea company. So
That's
I was
interesting.
Like C-suite and, like living the life, right?
You had to do it for years, I would imagine.
I did it for 13 years. Wow. And decided like, you know what?
You had a quarter life crisis.
I did. It was a quarter life crisis. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this for someone else anymore. Mm-hmm. I want to do this for me.
By the way, you do have like an anchor woman voice. Like
I've been told that several times.
It's good cadence.
Thank you.
It just like, it sounds like, and now we have a high of 89 degrees today.
And today's high, we have 89 degrees. Could do that all day.
So you leave this tea company.
Yeah.
And you're like, video. Was there like a passion already there for it, or you just kind of found it over time?
I think the video part of it was always my interest in the production. And being in front of the camera, I was always interested in the actual camera itself, mm-hmm. and what makes a good story and those types of elements to video. And I never considered myself a marketing person or anything like that. I just was super interested in video. Mm-hmm. I never was a movie buff or anything like that, but I was always super interested in the elements behind it. Like, why is this scene so much more dramatic than it really could be? Like, the music makes everything. My favorite song is With or Without You by U2 because I saw it on a Friends episode where Ross and Rachel were breaking up. Uh-huh. And it, like, if you use another song, it affects you way differently. Mm-hmm. So I was always very interested in those types of elements. And like that was where the passion really came from, was just each intricacy or each element to a story being told.
Yeah. It's sound design and this like music in general is so interesting when you're like producing something.
Yeah, sound is everything. I don't want to say this like out loud, but sometimes audio
But she's going to say it out loud.
I am totally saying this out loud. Sometimes audio is more important than video.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just the little things, because it's just like, it could be like that emotional, like little oomph that takes you all over the edge in a good way.
It absolutely is an emotional experience. It touches all of the senses. Like, you can see things visually with different types of music and different keys. And it's a whole package. I get that. But I mean, yeah, sometimes it is more important, and video people will hate me for saying that. I hate myself for saying
It's
that.
okay. She said it, folks. Not me.
You
Not
heard it here
Marty.
first.
Nell.
So yeah.
So you get into it. What kind of like services you provide for those out there who might be interested?
Yeah, so my husband and I started our YouTube channel in 2019, Kenny and Nell, and it's a travel vlog on YouTube. And when we started getting more into the video production side of things, we determined what we really love inside of it. So I do a little bit less of commercial videography now for small businesses, which I still do. I just promote that a little bit less. But we do commercial videography, profile videos for businesses. I've worked with a lot of financial advisors.
God bless you.
Yeah.
You got to go through compliance. Yeah, oh, Marty's looking.
Let me tell you.
He's done one.
Yeah, and it almost became a niche for a little bit because I was used to going through the compliance. I understand.
Know the process. What could fly, what can't fly.
Yeah, if it's fine. Like, I build that in, don't worry, to our contracts. If we need to send over 15 different revisions because you said a word that doesn't work.
Well, you're going to pay for it.
Absolutely.
As you should.
Yeah. But, I'm willing to do it. And not everybody is. So if you're a financial advisor, I'm absolutely willing to work with you. And we also do a lot of YouTube channel management. So I've learned a lot working with YouTube over the years. And it's, there's something about, somebody said to me, how can you work for something that they don't even know you exist? And I was like, ooh, that's a really good question. But
that is interesting.
How do you work for corporate when they don't even know you exist?
Yeah, you're just a name on a file, pretty much.
Exactly. So what's the difference? And, it's always changing. That's really fun, too. I used to process mortgages a long time ago. Don't hold that against me. And, I mean, 2008 process mortgages.
Oh, wow. Ooh,
so,
okay. Whoa.
Yeah, things were always changing there, but it was the kind of annoying change where you're like, ugh, I hate this. I don't want to have to do this again. But every time something changes in this industry, I'm excited. All right, cool. How can we dominate this industry today?
Yeah. It's always fun, because there's always changes. Because, you are in the marketing space with doing content.
Yeah.
And it's ever changing. And then your fun big tech platforms like YouTube that just change things without notifying you. And you're like, oh.
You're like, thanks for that, YouTube.
How do I go about this? How the algorithm's completely different. All of a sudden we got reels.
Algorithm is a dirty word.
Yeah. One of my favorite questions I get now, especially on the content side, it's just because we do primarily paid ad efforts, but
Sure.
I get questions so when's the best time to post with the algorithm? And I'm I tell them it's it's A/B testing, and you kind of got to figure it out on your own based on your audience. It's not a magic number.
No, absolutely not. I get the same thing all the time. People are always like, when's the best time to post? Or should I do, it literally is testing. It's finding, and you have no idea. You could be including a tag or a keyword somewhere in your copy, whether it's the title, the description, the tags, anything that just hits. And you don't know it because people always ask too, how do I go viral? How do I go viral? No.
God bless you. I've only maybe heard that once or twice. I've laughed in someone's face before. I'm do you have tens of thousands of dollars?
Right.
I've literally told them that.
Yes, that's exactly what it would take to go viral. But people also don't understand that going viral isn't where it's at. Because what are you focusing on? Do you want 2.5 million people to see your content and not react to it genuinely at all? Or do you want 5 people to see your content and react?
Yeah, no, it's the engagement. Because I tell folks too, it's just really what's your goal of what we're doing here from a campaign standpoint.
Exactly. That's the root of everything. What is your goal?
I tell people it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. And if you're investing in content that isn't resonating just to go viral, then you're just might as well just throw the money or give it to Marty. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. I had someone that went viral on Instagram. Okay. And I'm like midnight, I think, or something that night. It was like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? 1 million people saw my video. How can I monetize this? Well, and I was like, no, bro, like,
Chill out. You got lucky.
exactly.
I hate to say it.
You did. You
Sometimes
got
a
lucky.
blind squirrel catches a nut every once in a while.
Exactly. But you're not doing anything with it. I had a video that got 250,000 views on TikTok because my husband was doing some like laundry in like the bathroom sink. But my reaction wasn't like, how do I monetize this? What sponsors can I get? No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, unless you're like the Hawk Tuohy girl. I don't know if you know about that one.
I do. I'm aware.
I can't believe she has an agent.
That happened so overnight. But people automatically think that that's possible for them.
Yeah.
Because it happens.
They can just replicate it, which is not the case.
No.
It really is sometimes a genie in a bottle kind of thing.
Totally is.
I mean, get your thoughts on it, but like when you're doing content, like on the organic side and building out a content strategy, you want something that can have like continual growth to meet your goals.
Oh, absolutely.
Not necessarily if it's something like viral happens while you're doing that strategy. Great.
That's awesome.
It is. It's just a bonus. You know,
Yes.
it's better than you expected, but not necessarily we're gonna make every post go viral.
No, that's not the goal. But if it's not sustainable, it's not going to work.
Yeah, no, hype's you can't build a business off hype.
No, for sure not. And yeah, if it's not sustainable, you're not going to be consistent with it. Consistency is everything.
Everything.
You don't even have to be the best at it.
No.
Like my podcast, I'm the video girl, right? My podcast, I started doing video for the 3rd season.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just recording on Zoom. And like the reels and everything I was cutting, they weren't the highest quality because that's not what Zoom is known for.
No,
Let's be
Zoom's
honest.
terrible. It looks glitchy. We've done a couple live
Exactly.
Zoom podcasts, and there's
It sucks, but I'm putting it out there. It's helping me be consistent. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if someone's going to hire me, it's not because I have Zoom video reels of my podcast.
Yeah, I think, I don't know about you, this is a little off topic. And just in terms of content, I feel like we're going back. Remember when like 2014, 2015, everyone wanted to have like grade A polished photography.
Oh my gosh.
And then everyone followed with getting like stuff almost that look over realistic or hyper.
Yeah.
Like almost like too manufactured.
Yes.
It looked too nice.
Yeah.
I think we're getting it back to this like grungy, kind of like bratish, dirty, kind of like this
Real.
camera phone.
Yeah.
Camera phone, that's it.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It's not like the highest quality per equipment in the shop, but it's more realistic. It's to get more your attention.
Exactly. And I think you actually brought it up on my podcast.
A little bit, yeah.
There's a time and a place for professional videography, but that's not the everyday. It's not the realistic business owner, entrepreneur. Like that's most of what we do isn't glamorous. That's why people love the behind the scenes stuff. People want to know what really happens. And if you're not everybody's the Kardashians. You don't have professional crew following you around every day. So, I mean, that's what's really happening is you're taking videos with your phone and you're doing all this stuff with phones or whatever you have available. I have lenses for my professional cameras that I bought on Facebook Marketplace because somebody didn't know the value of what they had. And I took advantage of that because why not? But like, that's the realistic stuff. I'm not buying everything brand new. And, you know, it's a very human thing and it's authenticity. I know that was like the word of 2023, I think. Right?
Oh, we talk about that. This is a nice little continuation of our podcast
it's
together.
Like part 2.
It really is, though. And that's just like the dirty word. Like, I'm being authentic right now. Look at me. My favorite thing. I don't know what your like client intake process looks like when you're starting off a project, but it's just like I like to get to know. It's like, who's your audience? Don't just tell me everyone, because it's not everyone.
Everyone from 0 to 99 is my audience.
It's just like no. It's like who you're resonating with, because that way it's like. Whatever you're doing from a messaging standpoint, we can try to line it up that way.
Yeah.
We gotta refine some things.
Absolutely. So I can tell you that our target audience is obviously mostly business owners. Anywhere between the ages of, I'm going to say 30 and about 55 to 60. I mean, that's great. Like, I love that because I'm there.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me valuable. I'm there. And it's possibly somebody that's not overly confident on social media. They don't know what to do, like where to post or anything like that. And we can help them with that. So that's who we resonate with.
What's the most rewarding thing for you and your husband when it comes to like client service?
So this actually happened yesterday.
Okay, cool.
I have a real estate agent that I work with that was our first client ever. And
they're still, I love that.
Still a client. I love him dearly. A shout out to Maurice from Iron Valley. And he had this house that you could tell he was so hyped up about because it was one of his, like square footage wise, it was a bigger property. But you could tell he was so excited. And that maybe he had a bit of a relationship with this client, whether it was a family member or what, I don't know. But I took the photos for him this week and I had such a terrible time because technology is not always on my side, nor is it on anyone's side. Like full 100% of the time. I was in tears over this because I was like, I cannot screw this up. Like this means so much to me. It means so much to him. And I powered through it, got it done, delivered them. And he called me yesterday and he goes, hey, I just want you to know you did an amazing job on those photos. And I'm so happy. I can't wait to list it.
I had no idea what went into it.
And I was like,
thank God.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, camera Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like just hearing the words like, oh, I can't wait to follow through on the project, or like, you made me so happy, is like, that just made everything worth it. Because, and I've heard this before from somebody that I worked with. Like, if you're an entrepreneur and you don't want to quit and get a job at McDonald's at least once a week, then you're not a real entrepreneur.
Literally talk about the day, run a peer group, run once a month with business owners. And one gentleman's a real estate agent. He's like, every real estate agent, if you're really like about it, sometimes you go to like the transaction table or settlement table, you're like, this is the last fucking one.
Oh my God.
But then you wake up the next day, you're like, nope, we're going back to it because this is what I love, what I do.
It's like, it's just those simple little things that happen and they're like unexplainable. And it means so much more when you're doing it for yourself.
Oh yeah, no, it's worth all the bullshit we deal as business owners. Because I tell folks, even if you're growing, maybe you solve a set of problems, you usually grow and develop another set of problems. It's funny, you never think that, like, oh, I got past this hurdle in my business, organizing this or doing that. Nope, we got another one now.
It's so funny you mentioned that because yesterday, when I got off the phone, I said to myself, I was like, all right, so I've gotten through the first set of problems in like early business, right? And I was like, I still have issues. They're just different issues now. Totally worth it.
It's just one thing for another, but that's growth. Yeah. It's fun.
That's absolutely growth.
I tell folks, if I ever gave this up or it all went to shit, I'll just disappear and become like a beach bartender somewhere.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
I think it sounds wonderful. Could you see me as a beach bartender, Marty?
Yeah.
I mean, your shirt's almost there. Just throw a palm tree or two on it.
There's no hesitation on his part. Ladies and gentlemen, saying
He's like, yeah, uh-huh.
Maybe I'll grow my hair out.
Grow your beard out.
You could totally pull it off.
I think I could. Speaking of just being an entrepreneur, it's like you and your husband. I think the coolest thing being an entrepreneur is designing the life that you want at a point. But another thing that often happens, it's just like, we all have done it. It's just, sometimes comparison's the thief of joy. We see people out there like, how the hell they're doing it? Or people try to keep up with what you're doing. And it's just like, you can't think like that.
No, you can't. Absolutely not. And I think one of the biggest things one of the hardest things at first was, like I said, I had the C-suite lifestyle. We both had an amazing income.
9 to 5, I can clock out. For the most part.
Exactly. That was great. But when we were going to our friends' houses, so like we had established a certain core group of friends and we don't have kids. So like our friends are everything to us.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Yeah. And we would go to their house and, whether it was like a barbecue or something, I would always walk in and it was like a new house or like, oh, so-and-so would put this like resort area in their backyard with this beautiful pool and stuff like that. And I was like, well, now that we're here, I can't have all of that. And it was like a keeping up with the Joneses type thing.
And it's so real, I think, with people. I think another thing, too, it's this, oh, they got this, or they're having kids, and they're doing this, and they're going here. Like, we got to do this. And then it's like a trap almost.
Yeah. And
So are you really happy at the end of the day trying to, like, play catch up with people?
Exactly. And it almost became something that we got used to, where somebody, like, I became very aware who I was surrounding myself with at the time when we first went full-time with the business, because we told everybody, like, hey, we're cutting out half of our income. I don't know if you know the story about how, like, we got started where I went full-time in the business.
Oh, it'd be a
like,
cool, quick little anecdote.
yeah. So I walked into work one day and I was like, and we had talked about it, but we never, like, fully came to a decision.
Yeah.
And something in my head was like, do it. Just do it.
Just do it right now.
Just do it right now. We had a meeting and I was like, yeah, I'm resigning. And my boss was like, oh, okay. So we never talked about it again. And now, granted, this was like 8 months in advance. So I had time to prepare, but 8 months, like, some people plan for years for this. So I'm not saying
Yeah, where you're
that,
doing like a change of life kind of thing.
exactly. And
That's what it was, in essence.
It really was. But anyway, that's kind of where we were. So I started out. Now, I had a couple of clients because I was doing this on the side, but I didn't have a full-time income.
No, it was still in an infancy stage.
Exactly. So, so then fast forward to now, here we are. And we told some of our friends, like, hey, we're cutting back on some things. We're not traveling as much because we're really getting our business off the ground. And some were like, what do you mean you're not traveling? You can't come to this all-inclusive resort with me in February and all the things. And I was like, no, yeah, this is like what it takes. And so we started to feel a little resentment because it was like, it was a whole thing with some people that we knew. And
It's unfortunate, but
it is.
That's how people are.
Exactly. But it's like a natural filter too. So it's filtering out the people that are not there and supportive of your life choices.
Yeah, because they don't have to live you and your husband's lifestyle.
Exactly. So all they know is what they've known before. And so having to keep up with the expectations of, oh, you got to go here and make this video and do that and come to everything that we invite you to and go out to dinner 5 nights a week and all those things. It was really difficult to deal with that at first. But yeah, comparing our lives to those of people still living their unhappy lives. They're like making you feel guilty.
It's like projecting almost.
Yeah.
It's almost like I bet you felt like an alien, you and your husband around certain people.
I still feel like an alien.
She might
I think
be an
I am
alien,
one.
folks. Are reptilians real?
You tell me.
But I had that conversation the other day. It's just sometimes like you change and you can feel it with people because they almost want you to stay in like the little vacuum.
They do. They want you to stay in the bubble because
it's not
that's
even
what it's safe.
malicious. Sometimes it's just that's like they're like,
yeah,
that's how they cope.
Yeah, it's how they cope. And I've mentioned this too before. Like, there are people that do support you. They just show their support in different ways.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's totally fine. I mean, there are people that, let's just take like a podcast, for instance. There are people that will text you every week and say, I loved this episode. This is what I loved about it. There are people that will text you and be like, hey, I love listening to your podcast. And then there are people that never text you and they're like, oh, by the way, next time they see you 3 months later, I loved the episode you did with.
I've had people never like or comment or engage in anything, and then they come up to me. People at least expect, saying they watched the podcast or saw this episode, that Megan didn't do this. I'm like, what?
It's always somebody you least expect.
Which is cool to me.
It's the coolest thing.
It's worth doing content like the way we do, where it resonates with somebody more than just us and our guests.
Exactly. I just had this really cool experience recently. So I interviewed a guy named Ranger Kylak, who is walking across America. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Forrest Gump.
Oh my God. He started on the coast of South Carolina and he just reached California and he's walking to the coast of California. I interviewed him and then released the episode a few weeks later. He was walking in West South Carolina And somebody stopped him and was like, oh, hey, you're that ranger guy walking across America.
What?
And he was like, yeah. I mean, he's been on local news stations.
Yeah.
You know, like he's had media coverage. But this guy said to him, oh, I heard about you on the What the Nell podcast. And I was like,
What are the odds of that?
oh my gosh, somebody in South Carolina listens to my podcast. I was
That's hilarious.
top 3 moment in my career.
Yeah. Little things like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you a little giddy.
But like, obviously that guy listens. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool. I love it.
What are you most excited about right now?
Ranger Kylac and the guy. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's amazing. So I'm excited about the unknown.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the unknown. Like, I have stuff coming up that I know I'm doing. I have planned things, and that's great. But I'm really excited because I'm more of like a spiritual shifty type person where you can feel shifts in the universe happening.
No, I believe that too. It's a really real thing.
It's such a real thing. And I'm not necessarily a data or analytics driven person. I rely more on the feeling that I have in the business and where we're going.
Well, momentum is a really real thing.
It is.
I think analytics and data are great just to kind of further verify your progress and where you're at and track. But like, especially when you're your husband, you're essentially like this small business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Momentum is very important.
It's so important.
It's where, you have, naturally, we have less processes
Yeah.
and systems than like bigger companies, even if we do have our own little ones.
Yeah.
So having that momentum, it's a really real thing. I'm like, I wasn't much of an athlete growing up, but I tell folks like momentum in sports is a real thing. Same thing as momentum in business.
Oh, it totally is. Like, there's, when you're watching a football game or a basketball game and you're like, all right, they're running up and down the court and it's going so fast and you're like, all right, slow it down. Like, those moments, those are the hype moments, like where you're probably going to accomplish something super, super cool in those moments. And then you do have to rein it in and you got to look at the data and the analytics and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited about the unknown because I feel the momentum. I feel the shift. And like I mentioned yesterday, I realized I have issues and challenges in the business, but they're different than they were. And that's part of also how I know things are changing.
I'm about to say, so with the unknown, it's like, where do you want to go? Let's say like a year from now.
That's a really good question.
We're just getting deep.
Yeah. Okay. So, gosh, a year from now, I don't really even know how to answer that because I kind of want to be in a different location. I mean, our whole goal with
You and your husband are
business-
always at the beach.
I know we are.
No offense. I love it.
There's no offense. That is such a compliment. Thank you for noticing.
I love it. I'm like, they really have a good time. I'm like, good for them.
Yeah, I think honestly, one of our goals, our biggest goal is to be location independent.
Good. Okay, cool.
So for me to say I'm running our business from somewhere for 3 months is like success, like life made, everything.
I tell people I want to be like a snowbird by like 35 at this point.
Yeah.
You
absolutely should
live
be.
in like Scottsdale or Tampa for like
I was
2-3
going to say
months.
where?
Probably like Scottsdale or like Tampa or like in between the two.
Yeah.
Or I can just rotate.
Have you been to Scottsdale?
It's very nice. John, my long-term business partner in crime, he lives out there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Why can't I keep this lit?
Oh, sorry about that. Usually
No.
they say pretty damn lit.
I'm terrible with it because I get talking.
That's okay.
And
No,
then
that's
I'm like
good.
not smoking them. So,
I
but
smoke like a chimney. People are like, how the fuck do you do that? I'm like,
I don't know how you do it because I'm like focused, but
You saw me before, Marty. About 4 or 5 of these in one day. It was kind of scary. I didn't sound well the next day.
4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. 2, I'm like, I wake up the next day and I'm like,
How you doing, honey?
But yeah, actually a friend of mine lives in Tucson right now.
Cool, yeah.
And she's like, oh, you should see all the snowbirds. We went out to visit in April. And I was like, yeah, I totally get why people come here.
This time of year sucks. We're be recording this summer. It's like John, who works with me, he's like, dude, it's like being on the East Coast, like when you're snowed in.
Yeah.
It's like 115.
You don't wanna go
It's too hot where like you're snowed in, but
Oh
it's
my
heat.
God. I used to do trade shows in Las Vegas in June. And it was always at the Las Vegas Convention Center.
Was it like a home gift show with like the tea?
So it was actually the World Tea Expo.
You
can imagine.
What kind of people come to the World Tea Expo?
Let me tell you.
No, we got to touch on this for a minute. This is good.
So the World Tea Expo is actually a thing, and they typically like combine shows with another conglomerate by now, but it was a really big thing. And you ask what kind of people come to a World Tea Expo. I have photos with a giant stuffed ginseng. I mean, like, just all the characters, anybody and everybody comes to a tea show, right? And I've also experienced mushrooms, different types of mushrooms, because at the time there was like a big trend with infusing mushrooms as tea.
Teas.
I mean, anything.
Not psychedelic mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen.
What's that?
Not psychedelic mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, it's fun, but you gotta watch out. Those people like to drink. Like,
trade show people in general drink. I used to.
that's true.
I used to sell home goods.
Oh yeah.
So I used to do the high point shows, like the furniture, like home goods.
Oh my god.
And they had like an open bar every day for like buyers and exhibitors,
Yeah.
like 4 to 5 days.
Yeah.
So it was a free for all.
So much fun. I loved doing those shows. Amazing. But yeah, it was such an experience because Las Vegas at the end of June, if you're unfamiliar, can be like 115 degrees.
Unbearable.
Okay? They don't turn on the air conditioning in the convention center until literally top of the hour when the show starts, 9 a.m. on a Saturday
And that's
morning.
not kicked in yet either.
No.
That takes time.
It does.
I don't care how good of a system you got.
100%. So
you're like sweating, setting up.
Dying. And I remember the one day I went back out to our car. So like big, obviously like blacktop parking lot in Las Vegas, middle of June, middle of the day. The temperature on the dash said 130. And I was like,
No.
everyone,
I'm out.
I don't care how, like where you're from, 130 is 130.
Yeah, you might as well be in Baghdad.
Exactly. Exactly. Everybody back uses it's a dry humidity. I don't care.
No, it's still hot. Come on.
Or dry heat. Did I say humidity?
But yeah, dry heat.
It's a dry heat. Like 130 is still 130. But yeah, the desert in the summer, no thank you.
So I know Marty was signaling for last call. I got a question, and I know this flew by.
Yeah.
I got a question, and then you can take it home with any kind of like final commentary.
Yeah.
So looking back on it, let's say you're transported back in time right now. You right now, and you're talking to weather girl Nell at Millersville. What would you tell her as she was dropping out?
Go, girl, go. I shudder to think what actually would have happened if I would have stayed at Millersville. And
Probably totally different life.
completely different life. When I watch the Weather Channel now or any media in general, I'm disheartened. I'm desensitized, honestly. And part of me thinks, you know what, you could have had an amazing life, obviously. But I'm really happy with creating my own path.
Yeah.
Going in my own direction. And those people that you see on TV, they're all puppets.
Yeah, for the most part.
I'm not a puppet.
It's their products, I tell people.
Exactly.
It's just like, this is what you're going to say, and if you don't, you're not going to have a contract.
Exactly.
Renewal.
And then you're moving on to the next station or network.
And then you're blacklisted.
Exactly.
And then you're starting some weird Twitter, Twitch account.
Which that might happen anyway, but at least I have control at this point.
So now, where can people find you? Any last words?
You can find me all over social media. enTICEingmedia.com. It's ENTICE media.
Let's play on words, folks.
It is. My last name is Tice. And yeah, that's basically where you can find us. YouTube, Kenny and Nell. We're on Sandcastle Radio. It's an independent radio station out of Pensacola, Florida, which...
How did you guys get wrapped up in that real quick as we
Yeah.
wrap up?
I was connected with one of the station owners, and she was doing a show on another station at the time. She put out a post on Facebook one day that she wanted to do a show and wanted somebody to interview. And I was like, I'll do it. and got into live radio. It's such a high. It's amazing. Live radio is like, you think you're like, oh yeah, I do podcasts. This is just like,
Radio's
no,
totally different.
completely different. Love everything about it. And so yeah, that's how we got wrapped up in it. But being in front of a camera or behind a mic, like, I just love it.
It was awesome having you.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you for
The
having
Widow
me.
Jane and the Casa cigars have been great.
Amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Check out Nell. What the Nell?
What the Nell?
See you soon.